So, hello everyone. This is GenderMeowster. I use they them pronouns, and I have a wonderful guest here today. Hi, Ness. Would you kindly share your name and pronouns for the listeners of the podcast later who can't see it on screen?
Can indeed. I'm Ness. My pronouns are they, them.
Yay. And for anyone who's watching this later and has no idea why there's a sticker on my face, we are having a subathon because it is my first stream anniversary today on this recording, July 19th, 2021. And Ness and Kitty have just become my patrons for $1, so now I have a sticker on my face. It's adorable. It's a cat butt with a tail.
Love it.
Yeah. So Ness, I'm so delighted that it worked out that you're my guest today for the show.
I'm excited.
It's
Cool.
so it's so fun. I didn't expect that, and that's what's happening. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you have a second being in your home who is also a wonderful and huge supporter of the show. And I don't know if Kitty isn't around. Kitty doesn't have to be fetched or anything, but so Ness is here, but also Ness and Kitty have a Twitch stream channel together,
Mhm.
and it's awesome. And everyone is gender wonderful in your household.
Yes.
It's so great.
Time.
Do you have a favorite video game to stream just this month? Not of all time because that sounds too hard, but this month, what is your favorite game that you're playing?
By myself or with Kitty?
Let's hear both answers.
Okay. Um, I think with Kitty, I've been really into playing Operation Tango. But it's also very stressful, so it's a mixed. That game is hard, but it's really fun. And then by myself, I've been feeling myself go back into my Sims addiction. So I think
Nice.
it's going to be a lot of Sims streaming coming up. I've spent an uncomfortable amount of time just downloading like custom content to the game because all I want to do is build things and make people for hours. So that's going to be my life for a little while until I get bored of it again.
I love that. I love that so much. Are you playing The Sims 4?
Hmm.
Nice. I have it. I haven't played it, but I do own it.
I love it, and they're coming out in like just a few days. It's called Cottage Living. It's an expansion, and you get to have a pet llama, which is my main motivation for buying that expansion was I wanted a llama. But you also get like a farm and like cute pets, and the kids get to cook family meals with you and stuff, and it's just adorable. And it's just all the cottage core. Like I think this was just like made mostly for lesbians, and I'm loving it.
That's amazing. I love that. The Sims made for lesbians, or at least the cottagecore bit.
Yeah.
And what fabulous food are you eating today?
Mm.
Now that it's in your mouth and you can't talk because I asked you a question just as you started chewing.
Eating cotton candy grapes, which is my favorite thing. I love fruit. I think it's the best breakfast. But cotton candy grapes they come out in the summer in grocery stores. But I've spent since my, I don't know, junior year of high school trying to find them again because I knew they were real. I knew I had them, but I couldn't for the last like X amount of years. And I went to Trader Joe's the other day, which was my first time in Trader Joe's, and that was a fucking blast. But I went there and I saw these grapes, and I got so excited. I made Kitty try them and another friend, and she loves them. But the grapes that taste just like cotton candy.
That's so fun. Grapes that taste just like cotton candy. That's so rad. I love that. Well, would you tell us a little about yourself? So some of us can see you because we're here on stream, but not everyone will be able to, especially for the podcast. And so, would you tell us like who are you? What are your identities? So the topic today is about disability, gender, and sexuality. And so part of that too is like sharing about what your disabilities are and also maybe your feelings about the word disability, but that's a second question that I'll write down so I don't forget.
I don't have an issue with the word disability. It's what I have. Um, I think I mean, I don't want to speak, but I think most people are fine with disabled and disability. It's usually the people who don't have them that aren't, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, for me,
Personally, I'm okay with that word too.
yeah,
It's just an
um,
invisible disability, so people don't
yeah.
realize what's going on, but yeah.
But I think it's a fine and fair word. It's what I got. I have osteogenesis imperfecta, which is more commonly known as brittle bone disease. I have type 3. There's like so many types. I haven't checked in to see what they're at now. When I was born, there was only like 7 that they knew about, and I think that doubled some point in my teens. I have no idea what they're at now, and they're all very different. Um, Also, they're not very clear. Like Kwheelz, who's commonly seen modding my Twitch channel, um, and mentioned in my Twitter and all that. And one of my best friends, she has type 3 as well, and we have things very different. So saying type 3 isn't necessarily useful
Hmm.
because everyone's different. It's a very, very broad spectrum's disability. But for me, I'm less than 3 feet tall, and I'm in a wheelchair. I can't walk. I have a walker, which I can stand in and walk around my home. I can't reach anything because I'm less than 3 feet tall, so it's kind of a moot point. But I can kind of walk around my house. But that's about it, and only for half an hour kind of thing. Um, I have brittle bones, as is in the name, brittle bone disease. I have broken hundreds of times, which isn't necessarily normal. There are people with OI who've, only broken a dozen times, but that's still more than the average person. Um,
Totally.
so it's very dependent on the person and how their type affects them. Um, I was told that there's like a mutation in the mutation. So my bones, one of the reasons I break so often is because they don't always heal properly. Like they start the process and then they just stop. And so because it never really heals, it just kind of breaks again, or gets re-irritated because they're not properly finishing the steps they need to.
Mm,
That being said, I think I think mostly because movies and books that shouldn't be made uh, exist. But a lot of people think that we are glass, and that is not true. And I would like people to stop thinking that. Um, we do normal things, uh, all that jazz. We just gotta sometimes be more careful. That's all.
totally. You're also non-binary.
I'm also non-binary.
Woo.
Bigender, goodness, English. To be specific, so I identify as both a man and a woman, which is weird to present sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I should do. But also, there shouldn't be a should, and that's a thing I should deal with. Um, but yeah, that's how I identify and have for a while. It's new actually using the pronouns. I've been very not dealing with my gender for a very long time because that was easy.
So, what are your pronouns today?
Still they them. Yeah,
Cool.
like they them. I'm cool with people using whatever, but I find that when I let people do that, they generally stick to one. They'll just stick to she
Hmm.
usually. Um, and sometimes they'll just stick to he, but usually they just stick to she. And both kind of frustrate me because I feel like that's invalidating a very equal part of me. You
Hmm.
know, if you can only say one, which is why they is just easier. Um, because I am very much both things and have been, and I know that it's hard when like I wear a lot of makeup and stuff. Or other times when I just wear suits, people want to base it off of what they see, which isn't great. But that's that.
Um, I have I've seen you wear a multitude of fantastic outfits. And I wonder what it's like looking for outfits that suit your gender. I know that I struggle with that, and I
Yeah,
imagine it's a struggle for you too.
hard time because I want to do many things, but I also want to be perceived as myself. And I know that sadly, like what we wear is kind of ingrained into us that, well, if you're doing this, then you probably identify as this. And I think that's something we've all been working on as a society and getting better at. But, you know, it's still a thing. The real hard part is a lot of the more like masculine clothes that I like to wear. Like I really like this button up. It's a button up, but it's also floral, and I kind of like that. It's like a good combo. But it's really hard to find those because a lot of them have long sleeves, and I don't have long arms. And also my arms are bent, so that makes it even harder. And um, finding pants that fit, just in general, like I don't. Doesn't matter what side of the store I'm shopping in, I can't find things. So first I just have to find clothes that fit me in the first place before I can even worry about how I'm presenting. Like it's a whole other clusterfuck on top of things when you add in the size. Um, I've definitely been trying to find more things, but it's hard. And at the end of the day, I just kind of wear whatever and just acknowledge I'm going to have to introduce myself a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, I walked around with a giant like Pride Progress flag shirt that says "Dapper Boy" at the bottom, BOI, all day yesterday, and people still mammed me, and I'm like, are
That's
you just not
upsetting.
paying attention at all?
Shirt
Do you
sounds
not see the
amazing
giant
though.
gay thing on my chest? Like,
Shirt sounds so cute. That's something I would totally wear. But yeah, people are ridiculous, and it's really weird. Like it's funny because when I was a kid, I was definitely more like feminine presenting all the time because I wasn't dealing with my gender or talking about it, so I just did what I was supposed to and all that jazz. I put supposed to in huge asterisks and quotations there. But I was very feminine, but it was weird because I'd go out and random adults in the world would be like, "Oh, hello, young man," and my mother would be very confused, and I'd be like, "You're not wrong, but also, how did you know, sir?" And I'd be like really confused. And now I go out in the world and I dress more masculine now, and now I never get that anymore. And I'm
yikes.
just like, how does that work? How do
Hmm.
you, now that I'm doing this, now it's just she again? Okay, okay.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine there may also be um, an additional thing where people also aren't perceiving your age because of your
Oh,
height.
yeah, yeah. That's a huge thing. I think that is more frustrating for me personally. Um, like, I guess for me, if you can't even acknowledge that I am an adult person, then I don't have time to worry what gender you think I am. Like,
Hmm.
that's just how my brain works. I don't have time to think about that when I can't even get you to have a conversation with me
Yeah.
without like trying to offer me a lollipop or some shit. So it's um it's hard. I did have a good day the other day though. We went out and I we went out with a friend who I've had for a really long time. She was my para back in school. And we went out for margaritas, and it was the very first time I've never been carded. And I was like, what? Drink
Nice.
the liquid? Which I can, but normally they're like, honey, we're gonna have to ask for that, right? Like, yeah, no fucking shit, it's the law. I'm sorry, I'm swearing.
It's okay. In the context, it's very funny. I love
I
it.
hope you're pardon her too. Like, what are you doing? So it's weird. But they always like make a big deal and they always talk down and have a hard time making appointments and stuff because they
Hmm.
think like, where's your mom? Should she be making an appointment? It's like, no, can we? I just want to get things sorted out and take care of my life. Thank you. I
Hmm.
don't like your voice either, Bob, but here we are.
Oh, amazing. Have I told you today how amazing you are, friend?
Thank you. You're amazing
Your
too.
sense of humor is like so wonderful. I love it. I
Thank
don't
you.
like your voice either, Bob, but here we are.
It's true. I can't think of anyone who sounds good on the phone, but I'm the one who gets punished for it.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Well, can you tell us about what a day or week, if you prefer, in the life of LochNessGaymer looks like?
Oh God, I don't know. It depends on the week.
That's fair.
I don't know how to answer that. I try to stream regularly. I really do. Whether I get to or not is a whole thing. Um, but I do try. And I don't know. It's mostly just kind of coexisting with Kitty and living life. Um, I get excited about things like going to the grocery store now, so I've gotten to that part of adulthood.
That's awesome. Well, and you've told me personally about like the new exciting grocery stores in your new neighborhood and how fun that's been for you, and that's been
There's
really
so
cool.
many,
Yeah.
so many.
I'm so grateful that you're no longer living in a food desert. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, where I was living had food, but it's like when you're in a chair and you don't drive, it doesn't matter that your city has options if you can't get to those options, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but here we can walk to basically everything. I don't think we've taken a bus once. We've walked
Really.
everywhere.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's so close from our doctor's appointments to when I had to have my surgery, a couple months back. I just, sat on my uterus and walked to the emergency room. um, just that kind of thing. We walk to the store, walk to go hang out. There's so many food and stuff. Also, it's so queer here. Like
Mhm.
we play spot the pride flags now when we go out. We're just like,
That's fun.
no matter which direction we go into, it's really cool.
That's a really fun game. I love that. Well, digging more into some biography type questions, how has your relationship to gender evolved over time? Like is there a time that you noticed when you were younger that you felt the bigender feels, and
Oh
other
yeah,
specific stories or examples that you'd feel comfortable sharing?
I think my first big duh moment um was oddly enough in a closet. Um, I was with my cousin, and I have always been really into makeup. I don't really see makeup as a masculine or feminine thing. I personally see makeup as an artistic thing. It's just a way to be creative and do something not normal, not natural. Um, but I've always been like really handy with that stuff, and so we were like, I don't know, 8, maybe 9. And I had been practicing at this point with makeup for years, like just following YouTube and playing with mine and my cousin's faces and dolls and just doing things. And I recently learned at that time how to do like gender bending makeup or whatever. And she was like, "You should try to make me look like a boy." And I was like, "Okay." And so I did her makeup. I also did mine, but I couldn't see mine very well because she didn't have a mirror that was accessible to me. So I had hers flawlessly. First off, she made a fantastic dude. Good for her. Um, and but I couldn't see me. And I remember just being extremely jealous because I was like, wait, this bitch is just pulling it off. And I remember us just sitting in the closet for a while and having this really deep discussion, which is just weird because we were very much children and didn't know what was going on in the world, but about gender and how, like, we both kind of thought, what are boys though? And then, she got out and we were just gonna spend the day like that. Like we were ready to go outside and hang out. Like we had no idea what the world was like. And then her mom came in and started laughing and taking pictures and being an asshole about it. And then we took it off. But I remember how much that, upset me, just the reaction. And I remember how much it upset me just to not know what I looked like that way. And then growing up, I had my dad likes to call me the son he didn't have before my brothers were born. They're only a few years old, so for most of my life they weren't around.
Yeah.
And he said it as a joke, but for me it felt good. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't think of that. Nice. And I always felt like I had a really hard time getting like if I tried to be one thing or the other, like if I really tried to like focus one way, like for a while, I really tried to make myself be as feminine as possible, and I just couldn't do it. And there's just a lot of things that I just didn't really vibe with. And I always try to make sure all my friends were girls and stuff. And there was some shit that I just didn't get and just didn't make sense to me. I didn't feel it. And I was just like, I don't know what you're saying to me. And then I would try to do the opposite. And, I'd hang out with just the guys and get weird looks because, in grade school, everyone's like, why are you hanging out with boys? Some stupid shit. And but I would. But then they would say things that I didn't get either, and I'd be like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. And I didn't hear about bigender. I didn't know that both were just an option, and I could hang out in a gray line if I wanted to. So I'm just like, well, okay, neither option works for me. I guess I don't exist. I don't know. And I was, I was a kid, and I didn't know what was going on. But I remember those struggles and I remember like in school trying to go by different names, but every time I was just one thing, I'd get really upset. And it wasn't until a few years ago in my Discord server, we have my Discord server is just extremely queer, just ridiculously queer. And there was a few people, but there was one person that was like always talking to me, and they were gender fluid, and their pronouns they announced every day. So they're like, hey, just so you know, right now, she, her, please. Or they'd be like, just so you know, today, he, they. Just whatever felt good that day. And it always changed. And sometimes it would change in the middle of the day. And everyone was just really cool with it. And I was like,
That's so cool.
and so I like spent a few days and I feel bad because I didn't know who else to go to. And I feel like I like unloaded all of this onto one person. But I was like, hey, can I talk to you about gender? Because I think I got some stuff to figure out, but I've been avoiding. And they were like, yeah, what's up? And it took them like 5 minutes, and they were like, you should look at this. And I was like, oh, that one, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Shit.
That's so awesome.
And my Discord server actually picked my name for me too, which I really liked. And so that's how I got the name Ness. And I like it because it feels like a neutral name. And also they get to make a lot of Nintendo jokes, and that's fun.
Love it. The other thing I suppose is a resource I'll mention to anyone listening to this. We have a couple of channels in my Discord specifically around questioning identities. So you can ask questions, and people who identify certain ways can talk about it. So whereas Ness, your experience was you had the one person you knew and you talked to them and you're like, oh no, I'm sort of unloading on this person. Like we just have spaces where categories of people are supporting other categories of people, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Our latest addition is pronoun tryouts, which is like it's like a dressing room for pronouns, and you can come in there and say, "Hey, I want to try these pronouns," and then people will write sentences about you using those pronouns. And if we don't know much about you, we'll probably just tell you how nice your profile picture is, and say we hope that pronoun here has a great day. But if you're active in the server and you kind of chat with us and you realize like, oh, I want to try a thing, like we'll talk about the stuff we know about you. So if it's like you have a hamster named Quentin or whatever, we'll talk about your hamster. So anyways, it's so cool that using the powers of the internet, all the queers can support each other's genders and gender identities.
For sure.
It's
I
so
think it's
great.
really important having spaces where people can just try things, try pronouns and stuff, because I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I think that's definitely something that makes people take a little longer to figure things out because they didn't have, a window or a space to test something. And they felt like, well, if I do this, then I have to stay this way because now I've made a whole scene,
Mm-hmm.
I've done a spectacle. And so now I have to be this forever. Or what if I'm not ready to be this forever? And
Yeah.
first off, no one is stuck as anything. You're always allowed to change. I need y'all to know that. But it's hard to be in that mindset when you're just coming to terms with things. And I think having that tryout period kind of lets you go, oh, well, I can just do that. Oh, thanks. And just
Mm-hmm.
knowing that there's a designated spot for those things is really helpful and comforting. And I love going into your server and just seeing all the different areas for stuff, and people just get to do that. Because I wish I had that. I mean, luckily, again, my server was great and we could all talk, but there wasn't. It's very small for sure, and there wasn't like whole zones dedicated to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
I love
that
seeing.
that has something that's been something that's evolved over time. Like, today is the 1 year anniversary of our Discord server and the 1 year anniversary of streaming, and it's really an entire team of people that has made all of those things go. All the moderators, all the admins, all the content editors, plus me. Like, it's not. I'm not doing all of it by any stretch of the imagination. I would like to give a special shout out to Mirami, who was my first mod, is the person who co-created the Discord server with me and knows way more about Discord than I probably ever will. And honestly, all of this would not be possible without Mirami. So super shout out and hugs to Mirami for this is really, our anniversary of making this thing go. It's been
That
really
is,
cool.
Mirami is a lovely human being that I adore.
Yes. What a pal. What a good
I
bean.
hope she gets to see this. I don't know if she's around today.
I have a feeling Mirami will hear it or see it at some point. Um, yeah. Okay. So we already talked about this some, but I'll ask the question anyways in case you want to add to it, and if you don't, we'll just skip it. The next question is, what is it like navigating gender diversity and disability at the same time?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a lot to add when it comes to my gender and disability. It's really more the age and how people perceive me that comes first. I I find my gender is something that I'm really comfortable with, and that's why I find it so funny that I took so long to deal with it. Because once I did, I think overall it was the easiest thing I've done. Because once I finally said the words and changed the pronouns and the name, I feel comfortable. And for me, I don't really give a shit if Ted acknowledges me because I don't want to acknowledge Ted. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about Ted. So if Ted can't see, my gender, wants to call me she for 20 minutes and then I never have to see Ted again, I don't care because I'm
Mm-hmm.
just trying to exist and I know who I am and I'm comfortable. But when it comes to my age, I find that affects more of my things personally, and that hurts more because it's like I can't even attempt to do other things or exist in any way if I can't be seen as an adult or have opinions of my own or independence, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a 50-50 what people will assume Kitty is to me. Like, is she like my parent? Is she like my nurse? Or is she like, you know, is she just there to keep me alive kind of thing? It's always like really weird stuff because clearly I'm like this fragile child being who needs help. I remember, uh, and this is kind of dark, so heads up there. I remember I went to a grocery store by myself once. Me and Kwheelz did. And it was probably the worst day ever. Because this lady comes up, she's with her husband, and stands in front of me like maybe 2 feet away. Like she's right there. I
Mm-hmm.
looked at her husband. Oh my god! And I was like, "You're fucking good." And I look at her directly, like I hear you talking. What? What do you want? And she goes, "I can't believe it. If that were me, I would have just offed myself by now. I can't believe she's grocery shopping." And I was just like,
Wow.
"Sorry, I didn't kill myself today, Janine. I don't. They wanted grapes. Just wanted grapes." So kind of a daily thing when I go out by myself. Um, and then when we do go out, if I'm with Kitty, they always talk to her. They ask her the
Mm-hmm.
questions, no matter who it's about. And then I'll answer them. And then they look at me really confused. Then they'll look back at her and ask the same questions. And I'm just like, I'm gonna keep answering. I don't.
Yeah. And for context for folks listening later, like Ness has piercings and tattoos.
Yeah, here you go. I'll do a show.
Tattoo show.
Yeah.
So, what are your tattoos?
Okay,
Are
so
they
this
birds?
one is a music bird. I got it from my grandpa who died. Him and I both wrote music. It was something we had in common, and he was like one of the few people in my family that I really vibed with. And then this I got for our D&D campaign that Kitty DMs, which is how I met Kitty actually.
Oh,
She made this amazing NPC called the Crow. So I got a crow and a D20 that's like a ruby because the
nice.
crow was a thief. And then here I have, oh, it's hard to show on the camera, an unalome that my friend actually hand poked into me, which normally, like an unalome turns a certain way on the bottom. She explained this to me, so I'm probably butchering it because she knows about it and I don't. But it if it turns one way, it means female. If it turns one way, it means male. So she made one that turns in both directions infinitely.
That's
I
rad.
have a really cool non-binary unalome that most people just assume is a Christmas tree. So maybe that didn't work out. But and then this is upside down, but here's my foot. I have a heart with 2 wings and a tail, and then it has halos and a horn, so it's like angel and devil.
Nice.
Um, and I have these piercings and a nose piercing, and I also have like 1, 2, 3 holes in my sorry, 1, 2, 3 holes in this ear, and then 2 holes in this ear, so
Yeah.
5 in total.
Yeah. I've talked with you before about you're like, I'm signaling in all the ways I know to signal.
Seriously, and sometimes like when I go, here's the thing: if I dress masculine, I'm probably wearing like a button up, and I'm not caring about anything. But if I'm dressing feminine, I'm dressing a little, I'm dressing adult. That's the nice way to say it. I dress
Saucy?
adultly. Yeah, I dress saucy and adultly when I fem it up. And I feel like if your assumption is that the tattooed pierced adultly person is 6, I have questions for you. Why that is easier for you to understand than, oh, this is just a tiny adult. Like, why? I have questions for a lot of society.
Yeah, totally. I hear that.
I use
Um,
that word more often, adultly.
adultly. Saucily. I love the word saucy. It's such a fun word. Okay, so I suppose this is the bit of stream where the content warning might be the most important. So content warning for sexuality and being adulty and saucily and things. How would you say that your attractions are impacted by your disability? Like, what are your attractions, and two, how does that intersect with your other identities, as we've already sort of discussed?
So, I am very gay, but I guess that's not very clear when I identify as both male and female. I like the ladies. The non-binaries. Um, uh, I, I think that my disability didn't necessarily impact like my sexuality, but
Mm-hmm.
it does impact, I guess, the kind of like the ways in which I'm attracted to the folks that I'm attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, and this is me personally, everyone has a different experience. As you know, you said at the beginning, I'm not a monolith for all disabled people. But for me, I spent a lot of time just existing. I didn't, it's recess time. I'm not playing kickball. I'm not playing tetherball. I'm sitting, you know, and sometimes I didn't have anyone to play with. Sometimes I did. Most times, I had friends. Don't get me wrong. I had a life. I wasn't just, sad kid in the corner. But there were days I was. And you learn very early on. You spend a lot of time observing and getting to know people. And that's just kind of what I do. And now I know people too well. And wish I didn't. But um, but now I am a very good judge of character, and for me, a person is not uh, generally attractive until they do something, like until I know them. Like I don't just look at someone and go, oh, I'm gonna be into you. Like a lot of people I think do. They're like, oh, she's hot. Like yes, I think that your appearance can change in like the snap of a finger so fast. I can think you're hot like when I first see you, but if you talk to me and you are a terrible person, then I'm suddenly going to visually see you as like, I don't know, a weird sewer goblin.
Yeah.
I I'm very I very much am attracted to people based on who they are and the way that they act first, um, rather than the other way around that I think a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's just a thing. I also think just like the con like going out and that kind of thing is harder with a disability. It's like people are like, oh, being gay is hard. Yeah, being little bit. It's so hard being less than 3 feet tall. And then lesbians already have a problem of never knowing when a girl's flirting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you add that you're less than 3 feet tall, so then you're like being as forward as you can because you have to be. And then they're like, oh my god, it's so cool. And it's like, honey, I'm not trying to be cute. I want to, you know. So could you
Eyebrow waggles.
like your ass? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. I think you're cute. I'm not being cute. I'm trying to tell you you're cute.
Yeah, but it's really hard. Like I remember when I asked a girl I asked to prom, which this should have been a sign to me that prom was going to be uh not a good time. I had a very bad prom for a lot of reasons, but I asked her to prom. I did one of those promposals, like I went all in
Ooh,
on
yeah.
cheesy and sadly it was Harry Potter themed, which now I regret, but I did a big promposal, and she was like, "Oh my god, this is so cute! You crafted this yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I did." And she was like, "Oh!" And then she starts like eating because I did a golden snitch made out of Rice Krispie treats.
Wow.
It just eating it. I still have no answer, and I was like, "Okay." And she just starts telling people how adorable I am, and I was like, "So we're going to prom?" Oh, yeah, that's what the big sign was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, oh, sure. Sure. And then we got to prom, and she was like, "Man, I can't wait to find someone to dance with." And then didn't spend any time with me at the prom.
That's awful. I would dance
Yeah,
with you at prom.
yeah. It was a hard night, but point is, flirting is very hard because people just think that, "Oh, you're a sweet little baby bean," and it's like, I want to make out with your face, and
Yeah. Yep. Totally. Well, have you ever just told someone I want to make out with your face?
I suppose I do that to Kitty a lot, but we have an established situation, so suppose that's not really the same.
Speaking of Kitty's cute face,
I just,
we are raising money for Kitty.
yes,
We are.
yes.
So, folks, there's been some information being posted in chat, and it will also be in the show notes. But LochNessGaymer and Rosa Kitty are raising money for Kitty's gender confirmation surgeries. The hyperlink is givebutter.com/Rosie Kitty, KITTEA, tea like the drink. Givebutter.com/Rosie, ROSY, Kitty, KITTEA. And that info will be also down below. We can also check out y'all's Twitch channel, Loch Ness
Yeah.
Gamer, and all the subs bits and merch funds go towards the fundraiser as well. But it's best if you don't want the extra goodies, it's best to just give butter than do the other things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Hooray. Well, is there anything else you want to share about your social life, or do you feel like complete on that topic? We definitely talked about some of the bits that you have written here.
I don't know. I'm not really good at just talking about myself. I have to be prompted. I'm really bad at it. It's amazing I know my name sometimes. Uh, I realized I did have a funny story though when you asked if I asked someone to make out with their face. I was not that. I didn't say that, but I realized I was forward one time in my life, and it's a fun story.
Let's hear it.
So I was 16, and that is why I should not have said what I said. But I was in New York um, for a gala that I was invited to speak at. I used to go to this camp for disabled kids, and I was always older than everyone because my parents didn't discover it until like the last year I could be there. Um, but I was like a weird counselor because I was a counselor, but also I was disabled, kind of. Uh, but also I was a camper. It was weird because I hung out with the counselor, so I didn't have anything in common with kids. But the kids all liked me and looked up to me. It was a good time. But they were like, "Hey, we really liked you. Do you want to come speak at this gala?" Because basically it's a nonprofit camp, so they do this huge fundraising event every year to raise money so they can keep doing it. It's an amazing camp, and they have a bunch of these all over the world. And I think it's brilliant. And every week they have like a different theme, so different types of disabilities get to really be all hang out with each other and stuff like that. Sometimes be broad, like okay, bone disorders. Well, that could be anything from what I have to other stuff. or they'd be very specific, like, okay, this is OI, like, just, and it's really cool. And they make sure that everything they have there, you can do. And so kids that
Nice.
don't normally get to experience stuff, now they can. So, anyways, y'all probably didn't care about that, but I think that's
No,
amazing,
that's
and I will
great.
never stop saying great things.
What's
Anyways,
the?
I'm from
Do
this
you remember the
gala.
camp's name specifically?
I went to was called Camp Corey, but I don't remember what the overall foundation is. But I bet if you look up Camp Corey spelled with a K, you could probably find the rest of them.
Okay.
So I did this fundraiser, go to New York, and I win the concussion. That's what I'm gonna do, not myself. Because before the gala, I started new medication right before we went to New York that my doctor gave me, and I didn't know it made you sleepy. So I took it before the gala, and then I crashed my wheelchair into a parked truck in the garage
Oh no.
on the way into the gala. Luckily, we were there many hours early, so I woke up 30 minutes before we were supposed to start with no practice.
Oh, good.
So they had all these like celebrity like guests come backstage, and there was Jimmy Fallon, Jerry Seinfeld. Oh God, why can't I think of his name? Hold on. Sings piano. Okay. And then Ingrid Michaelson was also there, and Ingrid
Wow.
Michaelson is pretty.
Yeah.
And Ingrid Michaelson decided to hang out with me, and she kept telling me how cute I was, and she kept like touching me, not like in a bad way, but just not like, oh, you're so cute. And then she was like, I should probably stop touching you, and I had the audacity to say, you're Ingrid Michaelson, you can do whatever you want to me.
That's amazing.
Well, she kind of stopped for a second, and then was just like, okay. And then she went and told my mom.
Oh no.
So my mom was like, so what was that about? And I was like, you know what? We don't need to do this together. And then Ingrid did come and dance with me later when Stevie Wonder was playing, and that is probably one of the gayest moments I'll ever have in my life. So
That's amazing. You got to dance with Ingrid Michaelson to Stevie Wonder.
yeah, that was an
Story.
experience.
Oh my gosh. Now I
So
have to
yeah,
go find your big gay emote so I can spam it in the chat to celebrate Ingrid
big
Michaelson
gay
dance
mood.
thing. Oops. Hold on. That's so fun. I love that.
I was not a great flirter. I was a very shy, awkward being, except for that one time.
You did it though.
I did. That was not the time to do it, but damn it, I did it.
Well, can you share a moment of gender euphoria with us? Is there a story you have about a moment you felt euphoric about your gender?
Um, I think a couple times. One is a little kinky, but it's true. It's one of the first times I ever felt genuinely just happy. So, Kitty and I do the dumb sub situation, and she used to just call me mistress,
Mm-hmm.
and that was cool or whatever. But I always kind of felt like, okay, this is your word. That's nice. And then one time she called me sir, and the first time she did that, I about lost my damn mind, and I was like, and then she started flipping between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So she called both very evenly. She's never like once I came out to her and she realized, oh, okay, she started using both very evenly, very fast, and never stopped. And that is just really nice because like it's cool that even like behind closed doors and stuff that's still being, acknowledged and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's given me like a really good feeling. And then that family friend who I hadn't seen in a long time that came and had margaritas and stuff that I mentioned earlier, I had never given her my name because she used to talk with my mother a lot, and I didn't want to deal with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came by, and I was like, "Hey," because she called me like my old name, and I was like, "Hey, actually, I go by Ness now." And she was like, "Oh, calm down. You didn't know because I didn't tell you. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But this is what's up, and these are my pronouns." And instantly, she was like, "Oh, yeah, okay," and called me Ness. And I think And this is just sad, but I think the reason why that specifically meant more to me than, like you've always respected my pronouns, obviously, and many of my friends do, but this person is kind of like a mom to me. Like, she was actually the first person I came out to as gay when I was a kid. Um, and she's who I went to when anything went wrong. I didn't really have parents that would parent.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this woman, and so for me, it was like coming out to my mom, and my mom instantly just seeing that and not questioning it. And I was like, I've never really felt masculine and feminine, or particularly like just feminine. And she was like, yeah, no, duh, that checks out. That makes sense. And I was like, oh, okay. It was obvious to mom too. Or okay. And I don't know, that was just a really freeing and happy moment. And then I almost wanted to cry. And then um you cut my hair.
I did.
And that
It's
was
true.
that was pretty cool. And I definitely don't know that I care as much now that I care what my hair is now that I've had both, now that I've gotten to experience it. But I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
really gotten to just do something dramatic and shave it off and have a fun Britney Spears moment before. And I I felt good because I was just having a hard time. And I think I needed just a razor to the head refresh, and it it was really freeing, and I cried a lot. I'm a big crier, and there was just something so soothing and satisfying about being able to do that, and just having friends with me to do that. You know, it felt just very safe, and I think those are the three moments I felt safest and just the most what's the word, validated in my
Mm-hmm.
gender. And those are moments that I will always just keep with me.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Those are some great stories. Well, I want to try and start wrapping up our lovely conversation. But I wanted to ask one final question before we get to like resources and cross promo, which is what would you like to make sure folks know about your perspective on gender and non-binary slash trans issues?
Um, I think the biggest thing is be patient. Patient with yourself. There are so many people, and don't get me wrong, when you're trans, it's really hard to be patient with certain things. It's really hard. Hormones take a long time, and trying to afford surgeries. I mean, literally actively fundraising for Kitty because it's impossible to just afford but on your own for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a very slow process, but please give yourself and your own journey patience at least.
Mm-hmm.
And if it took you a long time to figure out who you are or your identity, okay, we all have our own timelines. There's not, we're not supposed to all have it figured out by 25 or 30 or 42. Everyone's doing their own thing vastly different paces, and trying to compare yourself to what Amber did is just not really going to help you, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
going to make you feel worse for no reason. The fact that you are here now and you're questioning things now and you're discovering yourself now, that's what matters. And when you decide to change your pronouns or talk to people is on your own time. When you come out to your family, if you come out to your family, completely your own decision. But
Mm-hmm.
give yourself that grace because, you know, you're stuck with you all day, every day. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can't be kind to you, you're just not gonna, you're not gonna be happy. And it will take even longer, believe it or not. You're going to likely get things done a lot faster once you start being kind to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and respecting your own time period and journey.
Well, it has been a total delight and pleasure to have you here on the show. Thank you so much for being here. Um,
Thank you for
I
having me.
absolutely, absolutely. So, as far as resources, there's my link tree in the chat. The link tree will also be in the resource section in the show notes if folks are looking for it. The link tree has all the links to all the things that are Meowster related. So if you want to find the Discord, the Twitch channel, the YouTube, all the things, it's all there. We also have all the information that's been plunked in the chat about Ness and Kitty is in the show notes with the Give Butter link for Rosie Kitty and your Twitch channel. And then the other thing is, we decided to schedule a video game stream, the two of us, not today, but in about a month.
Mm-hmm.
So if folks want to come
Okay.
back on Wednesday, August 18th, 2 p.m. Pacific, Ness and I will be streaming our second installation of It Takes Two, which is a very fun cooperative only game. Would love to have you all circle back and watch us be silly beans playing that game together. Are there any other resources or things you want to promote before we go raid a friend?
I think you covered them all. Just the Twitch and the fundraiser. I think those are the big things, and the fundraiser is honestly right now for me emotionally the most important.
Yeah.
I really want to see Kitty progress more than
Yeah.
I care about getting subs or follows right now. I want to see her happy.
Yeah.
So those have been my main focuses. I'm gonna try to play Sims more and stream more, but my health is not consistent, so my streaming's not consistent.
And that's just what it's like being a disabled streamer. Like I
Yeah,
have ADHD and rarely start on time.
yeah. I'm in the process of trying to find a psychiatrist because I think I too have ADHD. Uh, but I haven't been diagnosed. But I'm fairly confident. And
I
that
wave a
also doesn't
flag in your
help.
general direction.
Thank you.
Whee! Well, I think you're rad. Thank you so much for being here.
I think you're rad. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the folks who sat around and listened to me say weird shit for an hour or 2 hours. I don't know how long it's been, to be honest.
About an hour and a half.
That.
So I just made a note for the episode to end. So now, friends, just a reminder for those who rated in with them stars, though, or has swung by because of our awesome Twitch streams that are identity based. This is our streamiversary week here on this channel. I missed a letter in my command, so it didn't post the thing. We are doing a Joy-Con giveaway and a bunch of other stuff. So if you go check out the image that's linked there in the command, you can go learn all about that. And the subathon runs all week, so it's not just today only and you ran out of time. So there's plenty of time to participate in that. Since my personal time is running a bit short, we're going to raid a longtime friend of the channel, Ruby Red, who has changed her name on Twitch at least twice since we first met each other. But Ruby and I have been friends on Twitch for like a bunch of months, like maybe 10 or 11 or all 12 months. So I feel like it's a nice way to round out our 1 year anniversary today stream by going and visiting an old friend. So Ruby is playing Ness's current favorite game, The Sims 4. So we'll get to go see some of that, which is also why I picked Ruby. And everyone will be back the next 3 days from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific playing Night in the Woods, which is the first game we ever streamed here on Twitch. So we're going to be playing that. Mirami is going to be in voice chat with me, hopefully, for the next 2 or 3 days. Maybe not on Thursday, we'll see. Reading some of the other characters who aren't the main character, which is how we started this whole thing a year ago. So we're going to follow a different character path than we did last time, so it'll be a little different from the first time, but most of you weren't followers when we played that, so it'll be a new experience. It's a great game about mental health and disability and friendship and making peace with your level of ability and not trying to be what you're not. So it's an awesome game. I'm really excited to share it with all of you. And again, Ness, thank you so much for being here. And I love your face and all the rest of you too. And hopefully we'll see you around moderating and hanging out in the Discord. And this isn't goodbye. It's just see you later.
Yeah, I'll see you later. I love you too.
No. Goodbye, friend.
Oh, friends.